Hello everyone, this is Greyshot17 here, and I'm bringing you some details on the Iron Harvest dev blog number 21. Now, if you're currently wondering, Greyshot, why are you going over the most recent Iron Harvest dev blog? Well, last month they did a Q&A, and they're continuing it this month, but I actually felt some of the questions in this were more topical for Code 2, and as well, there's some additional details in this I figured that you may want to know about, at least including myself with Iron Harvest, which is pretty cool. And lastly but not least, if you haven't noticed in the last month, I've kind of winded down content because I just want to enjoy a little more time to myself and just relax a little bit more. But now we're in the swing of things. It's time to get back on track. So what better way than just talk about Iron Harvest? By the way, let's get into things. If you want to upgrade or get the other stuff, I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. And again, I have a biased opinion for a reason I'll explain in a moment. But yeah, you have until January 31st. So just a quick heads up on that. Which I also kind of find funny. It's like, yeah, you can have your basic soldier or you can have the giant mech, whatever you want. But in any case, let's get down to the more important stuff. You in the game. So for those who don't know, and the reason why I say I'm biased toward this is because I supported this game at this level. So yes, somewhere in this game, I'm going to be included. For reference and for transparency, I put myself, we have 2 images in of a picture, plus we have a picture of Before-chan. So there is a chance the anime character may show up in this game. I sent out questions to the person in their forums on Discord, and they said that it is possible that she will be in the game. And the reason I brought it up is because A, it's my own original character that I made for the channel, and for a Russian soldier, that I figured that would be pretty cool if that model was in the game. So hey, you may see it. We'll see. We shall see. In any case, as well, just as a heads up, we put in for a Russian soldier. However, take note that we could be any faction and even a civilian in this game. So even though that I say right now that I submitted it as a Ruskavite, I highly doubt that I will be that, or 151 who also has picks. Most likely what will end up happening is we'll probably end up as a soldier, but that being said, there is that chance that we could be a soldier or something else, but we have no idea. We'll let you guys know when we know, but again, we're submitting it now, so might be some time. Let's see. Yeah, you name the credits we already did, so if you go by the credits, you'll probably see Greyshot117 or, you know, my actual name, so we shall see. Alright, so time to the most important fact about this game. Alright, let's get into this. So first up, they bring up big maps in 8-player mode. This I find interesting because they are currently testing 8-player maps, or at least they have 1-player map right now, and they're testing it to see. Now, again, for those who don't know, typically a game will be optimized throughout its cycle and development, and the closer it gets to the end of its development, the better optimized it shall be. If they're testing 8-player games right now, I am super pumped, because if they can narrow it down and get that 4v4 style working in a state that isn't super laggy, again, I would be super pumped for it, because then I could play 4v4 with a lot more people. Custom games and or just auto matching with my core team from Company of Heroes. So I felt the fact they're experimenting with it, and right now they're guaranteeing 6, but they're testing 8 is something that is really cool. Also, they have this night cycle thing, so you have morning, midday, and evening, so you can kind of change the scenery and style of the map, which again I think is actually pretty cool. Plus, they possibly will have weather things, which I'm always of the thing, I know people are like, oh, for a tournament, it sucks if you have rain because then it's a bigger issue. But for me, if I can include weather effects, I know that might include performance, but I think that's a really cool feature to have that just adds a little more variety to the game. Anything that adds variety, I am up for it. Especially if they add something to where, let's say, you add a morning and it's raining or something, I don't know, something like that. Or maybe there's a morning fog or something that makes it a little harder to see, or your range is decreased. I think subtle stuff like that might make it a little more interesting, but that's just me. What do you guys think about that stuff? Leave it down below. The heavy armored units, bunkers, some heavy mechs, for example, they put down. Exoskeletons, yes, so there will be that, so that's really freaking cool. You know, again, I know they have the mechs, but the fact they'll have like a mixture of the two is pretty awesome. Let's see. Oh yeah, so they actually talked about map editing and stuff like that. So examples of community feedback. A map editor I think would be awesome if they could add like again background stuff. Cosmetics is really freaking cool. And enable backwards move for mechs. What if I told you that I had a mech that could go backwards? Again, I think that them listening to the community and adding more and more features is something that is really cool. Because again, just for transparency, I think it's awesome that they are doing this monthly and showing the community feedback. A lot of times, but for Kickstarter games, which this is, a lot of Kickstarter games, for example, might go dark for many months and just not update people. The fact they're constantly being forward in their development and what they're doing is really nice. It reminds me of another actually YouTuber, Angry Joe, who does a Kickstarter for, I believe, Capcom's Street Fighter for his board game, but he's constantly bringing updates about the state of the game, which I think is just awesome. So the fact they're doing it as well, pretty great. For those who don't know, Jakub has multiple universes, and apparently they clarify because people are like, where are the werewolves? And people are like, no, that's not in this game. So just that. Visual customization, apparently you'll have your own flagpoles and buildings and stuff like that, so there will be some customization in this, which is pretty freaking cool. So again, skins, attachments for mechs, that's pretty awesome, just to be able to customize your mech. Again, similar to Code 2, I assume, with how you can customize the colored skin of the tiger. Mech camo, again, they already said that. Different skin, already said that. Mechs with Santa hats, we'll see. Would be cool, just saying. Infantry units are able to climb over waist-high cover. Yeah, they can vault. That is something that you can do. They can vault over stuff. Well, horse riding. And I know it's funny because I bring this up and as a joke because of the thing that was in Battlefield 1 where people are like, can you ride horses? And the developers like, yeah, sure. People freaked out that you could ride a horse in Battlefield. They're mentioning like, for one of the questions, will there be more realistic close combat and punching with swords and hatchets in the head? They said no, but this reminds me of like Halo Wars. If you're paying attention to like the mini models, like the elites will do mini combats with the soldiers. That kind of reminds me of this, to where there will be animations that'll just go on if like an end state is happening with an infantry unit, which again, nice. Fog of War, this is one part, and again, not everything's positive. So in this case, it's just going to be, I believe what they're saying is just a perfect circle, or just like a simple, clean, standard Fog of War, unlike Company of Heroes, which is more directional with the cover. I like that directional cover combat, honestly. I think that that elevates surprise and ambush mechanics that are in the game. I don't mind if they do this, but there is a reason why a lot of people play Co and really like that ambush mechanic. It's because of that Fog of War stuff that really helps emphasize that stuff. So we'll see how this goes. That again, we'll see how that is. Option to change health bars and at least the option to change size. Yes, and again, they already have the scaling mechanic, which again I think is again nice. So the fact they're doing that, great. The unit design contest takes place where the best designs can be implemented. Yeah, they're like, oh, we have to release this in September, so no, that won't be a thing. Which also I think, again, set in the world 1920, they're releasing 2020, so 100 years. God, if just a random topic, but if they could do like, man, they team up with either the Great War Channel or Time Goes to do 100 years to the day battles in this game, that would be freaking hilarious. Just being like, just an actual like mini series of 100 years ago to the day, 1920s, the Iron Harvest or something like that. That, I don't know, that would be pretty funny. Will the story campaign feature a non-linear territorial based combat? Again, no, they're apparently following World of Warcraft 3, where there'll be 3 campaigns that kind of intersect with each other with all the 3 factions that play a part with like a bigger narrative. That's fine. That I think allows for more variety. One of my biggest complaints about the Company of Heroes campaign of the Soviet one was, yeah, sure, they allowed you to play the Soviets, which is great. But the biggest issue was people kind of wanted the German faction. And some people got it with the American faction, Ardene's Assault, that came out later. But the fact that at least lets you play with all 3 is nice. That being said, personally, I think it can be done badly. I know this Warcraft 3. Personally, there's another game called Grey Goo that did that like 3 arc system that I felt was kind of just I didn't really care for that campaign at all, and they did that 3 structure. But that being said, Warcraft 3 is considered one of the best campaigns ever. So again, there's pluses and minuses to it. So we'll see how that goes. But again, their tutorial-based perk system, I kind of see it because Code 2 Ardene's Assault did something similar to that and did it very well for Ardeen. So we'll see how they do the 3 campaigns. Again, if they do a linear campaign that's very, very good and has a lot of awesome moments, I don't mind if they do they don't do non-linear. Well, there'll be a photo mode. Apparently, there will be like a debug system, so free cam and stuff. So you will be able to get pics, and that's why I said also add in weather effects. Because think about thunderstorm going on, just lightning flashes, and you can time that up with the mechs. I don't know. I kind of see that as a pretty awesome feature. Now, apparently, they're not doing it because spoilers, but apparently upon release, they'll see, which again, I think is cool. I think any type of mode that you can kind of set things up is also pretty awesome. Now, this is something also I want to talk about. Off-map abilities, airstrike, supply crates, mech delivery. No active abilities, but there will be some missions and challenges, in which, for example, supplies are being dropped on the battlefield by an airship, things like that. So what they're saying is that, yeah, sure, campaign challenges, sure, but not for multiplayer, which is the one thing I will say is I'm a little more iffy about. One of the best things about Co is the off-map abilities, the faction abilities they can do. Now, I wonder if the commanders you pick will be able to do this, but in that sort of sense. But the thing is, like, for example, I just released a video on the Goliath, and that was awesome, having these little tiny mechs that are commander specific. Having airstrikes come in as well, or artillery strikes come in and kind of clear areas. If there isn't going to be that example, you kind of hang in that area that kind of are like the RNG factor, or kind of that like unpredictability of calling strikes and saving up and doing these multiple techniques. Again, I'm always for variety, so the fact that it's not going to be in a game is a little concerning for me, but we'll see. Maybe they'll add something else that will just add more unpredictability to games, because if they have the same thing or the same kind of rhythm to it, that can get stale. But that's the nice thing about Co is you have the units, you have the off-map with the doctrines and the factions, plus the factions itself being so different from each other. Again, there'll be 3 factions here, but we'll see. I hope they have enough unpredictability and variety that keeps people interested. And also, again, you can have the nice thing about abilities in Co, and I know to keep referencing it, it's the closest thing to this game for reference. You have like the very specific, like high-level pro players will have these doctrines, and then you have doctrines like counterattacks with the B4 or the Goliath or stuff like that, which is just funny. So again, I kind of hope that they have some abilities which are maybe a little more cheesy, but aren't necessarily overpowered or something like that. It's just fun to play. Will the HQ become a building that can be upgraded? No. Barracks, workshop, iron mines, oil pumps, and bunkers can be upgraded. The HQ cannot. Okay. I'm assuming that the idea may be behind medics, but the thing about, I guess, in this is I'm trying to think of like why you would need to upgrade the building. I guess for unit abilities, which they've shown is different. It's not, you can't just upgrade a unit. You can pick up stuff to change your unit, but every infantry unit is base and then can be already predisposed to be like an assault, heavy LMG, engineer, medic, stuff like that. You can kind of change the variety, which maybe in context doesn't make sense why this guy is good at digging holes and then for some reason he's great as a doctor, whatever the case may be. For if you're talking about base retreating, they do have something already like that, so maybe not needed. But again, interesting question, the fact that at least we know that these can be upgraded. Mod support. We would love user-generated content for Iron Harvest, however, since we're using Unity as our level editor, we can't really make a neat little editor for everyone to use. Again, for reference, games on Steam like Civilization, Company of Heroes, I believe even Total War have Steam community hubs so they can update stuff. Once we're done with the main game, we'll investigate if we can enable community to work on Iron Harvest content within a free Unity version, but it's more complicated than other editors, so it's not going to be for everyone. But it would be a way for dedicated community members to build upon the game. Hopefully, they'll be the first user-created maps on release. That's awesome. At least they're looking into it because, again, for those, I'll keep pulling it up, user-created content is the reason why a lot of strategy games and a lot of games, like, we'll change it up, Hearts of Iron has a great modding base, and that just extended its tail for so long. Civilization has a fantastic mod base. So the Total War series has a great mod base where you can literally play old Total War games that they've upgraded to World War II. It's completely rechanging and retooling the entire game. So the fact that they at least know that, yeah, we need user content, but they also know like this is gonna be a little bit harder, but they're gonna try to meet halfway, is a nice to see that, okay, they're at least saying that they're going to do this. Now again, whether they do something like, they say here that they're going to have user-created content. XCOM 2, for example, had user-created content available at launch that was, I believe, special aliens and difficulties. So the fact that they're already looking into this and hopefully maybe do something like that would be awesome to see. Will there be a separate map maker tool? See above. If it's possible feasible, we're going to do something, but we don't know at this point. Okay, at least they're looking into it. That's positive. Will the AI pathfinding be able to blow up rebel buildings? Yes, absolutely. And then they give an example. That's awesome. That's something that, again, completely different. Now, in other games of this magnitude, either buildings aren't destructible or like you can kind of careen into it, but they don't do a little bit of damage. They do some damage, or they have predefined destruction. The fact it looks like, yeah, they're going to have like predefined destruction, like a mech walking through it or blowing up bits and pieces. Cool. Units evaluate multiple routes, and if they're able to make sense to destroy or jump over something to reach a target faster, they'll do it. The fact you can literally just walk through a building that people... I would love if people are inside and you just walk through it and it just kills a squad. That would be unpredictable. That's the kind of, like, stuff I'm talking about. Because, like, one of my favorite games of all time is Bad Company 2. And the reason why I've kind of looked away from Battlefield as it kind of progressed through, like, Battlefield 4... Battlefield 1 did a little bit more of this, was the destructibility. I hate the fact that destructibility was essentially removed. This was maybe because of the hardware, but I hated that fact because Bad Company 2 had so much unpredictability from that destructibility. And the fact they have this in this game, and you can see like he's just walking through it, fantastic, great to see. Where we're going, we don't need roads. Great. Any plans for esports? Again, they say, you know, we'll see. That's fantastic. Will we get an official live stream for devs playing the game? Closer to release, they'll do that, which is awesome. Will the bunker include support roles like medical bunker, repair, artillery? Again, if I have to assume, I guess, or reference, Company for Roses bunkers for the Wehrmacht that have medical, which heal a unit, command post, which reinforces the unit with different members of the unit if they lose one, or an MG bunker to hold down and suppress infantry, not exactly armor. But it looks like in this, they'll have an empty bunker without any weapons, one against infantry and one against mechs. Also, of course, you can garrison your men inside that complement it. Yes, and I have tested this out. It actually is really good. The anti-mech gunners in an MG bunker, holy crap. That is incredibly powerful because they fire just long-range AT and just literally can help lock things down. Artillery can easily remove him, but still, it is a pretty damn good bunker. In any case, world building. Oh boy. Has the lore been changed? The Muscovites, or is it the same nonsensical Soviets kept the Tsar in power thing? Okay, here's the thing about that. I know the Soviets were against the Tsar and for the people, but if you use some, and again, I don't know the lore, but maybe the idea is they kind of use the Tsar as like a puppet. Okay, maybe not a bad idea, kind of use that power string, but you have someone behind the scenes controlling stuff, being like, all right, Tsar, you're going to be in power, but we're going to control you. I assume it's something like that. And also they say that, hey, maybe he's not around, which, again, we'll see. Or maybe, I guess maybe the idea, I mean, like, look, I'm going to be honest, the Soviet Union essentially had an authoritarian leader, so, I mean, not that different from a Tsar if you think about it. If the game does well, do you have a sequel, expand the universe? Yes. I believe they have their expansion. They have add-ons, and apparently they're looking at a third-person shooter, which I think would be cool. If the super mechs like the Tur are added, or unique controllable units or more like set pieces unique around the environment. All the factions have different sized mechs and one super mech. Awesome. That can be controlled. These units are late game units and of course are pretty expensive. So that's awesome that every single faction will have like a King Tiger. This isn't going to be a situation, again, referencing Co, where you're going to have like a USA that gets released and they don't have a heavy tank, but the British, both German factions and the Soviets all have heavy tanks, and the US are like, can we have a heavy tank please? And it takes them like a year to release it. Alrighty. Let's see. We'll see other factions from the world. Hopefully. We'd love to make one. There's an Asian faction. Thank you so very much for making an Asian faction, because I keep my biggest thing for make a Pacific campaign. The fact they're already like, yeah, that's what we want to do first. Awesome. Yeah, but also other factions would be, apparently there is a Cossacks faction. There is, I believe, some type of Ottoman Turkish faction. There is a faction that includes like the northern Swedish, kind of like combined empire. It has Norway, Sweden, and Denmark all combined. That would be awesome. I would love to see like an invasion from the northern men, kind of like that. They talk about their favorite units. Yeah, so I just like, okay, that's nice. Let's see. I think that's about it from this. Oh yeah, they kind of go into their gameplay video, which by the way, I never mentioned this, but that gameplay idea of them using like black and white footage for it, I thought that was pretty cool, because one of my favorite videos of all time, and I'm being honest, just for like, oh, that's a really cool idea, is with the History Channel's World War One, like War of the Worlds take, where they have World War One, but they insert tripods and stuff like that, and they kind of have a history of like, what if during the, World War One was actually set during the alien invasion of War of the Worlds. That, I love that, because it fits, again, it fits so well, especially with the mech designs and them kind of moving around and people just running and like the frames, and like, it just looks great. So the fact they did that, it's like, okay, cool. But otherwise, this is Greyshot17 going over the questions from their Q&A they did, and also letting you know that, yeah, I'm going to be somewhere in the game. We'll see where. But in any case, I'll see you all next time, and remember, make sure you like, subscribe. It does help out the content. But this has been Greyshot17, and I'll see you guys next time. Hello everyone, this is Greyshot. Before I go, I want to give a special shout out to Patreon supporters Josh, Milam, Joey G240, Just Thomas Plays, Spartycus, Rifle, JrChicklis, Pyroshark, Ollie, Ace, GTA, and Jakub Oswai. Thank you all for your incredible support. This has been Greyshot17 and his amazing patrons, and I'll see you all next time.